Today's lesson is on angle measures in a polygon. Okay, your worksheet starts with a few review questions from last lesson. I'm going to skip over those. You can do those on your own. Okay, so those first 1, 2, and 3 are review. Head down to the new part, where it talks about interior angles versus exterior angles. Okay, interior angles are angles that are inside the polygon. So like with this first picture, all these angles that I draw arcs on, those are interior angles. Exterior angles are angles that are outside the polygon. So when you extend one side of the polygon, you end up with an exterior angle. So in this one, these angles I draw arcs on, those are the exterior angles. Okay, this lesson is based on the formulas to find those angles for different kinds of polygons. Okay, so here's the list of formulas. The sum of the interior angles of a convex polygon. SI stands for sum of the interior angles, and the formula is n minus 2 times 180. N is just the number of sides. Okay, so if it's a triangle, it would be 3 sides. If it's a quadrilateral, it would be 4 sides. Pentagon is 5 sides, and so on. So you plug in the number of sides for n, subtract 2, and then multiply that result by 180. Okay. If you only want to find one interior angle for a regular polygon, then you take the sum of all the interior angles and divide by n the number of sides. Okay, so first you figure out what all the interior angles add up to using the first formula I gave you, and then divide that by n, or the number of sides, to get the measure of a single angle. As far as exterior angles go, the sum of the exterior angles of a convex polygon is 360. Does not matter how many sides the polygon has. If it's convex, the exterior angle is always add up to 360, which makes it easy to find one exterior angle, because you just take that sum, 360, and divide it by n, the number of sides. Okay, let's try some examples. With this first polygon, we want to find the measure of angle A, right here. Okay, so first identify which kind of polygon this is. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So if I want to find the sum of all the interior angles, I would do 6 minus 2 times 180. That was the first formula we covered. Okay, 6 minus 2 is 4. So 4 times 180. 4 times 180 is 720. So what that means is that all the interior angles of the shape add up to 720 degrees. Okay, and that's going to be how I set up my formula. I have to add up all the angles. 88 plus 142 plus 105, and then 136 plus 136 plus whatever A is, so it's all 6 angles, added together have to equal 720 degrees. Okay, and then I just have to solve my equation. On the left side here, I've got lots of like terms. I add up 88 plus 142, 105, 136, and 136. I definitely need a calculator for that. And when I add those up, I should get 607 plus A equals 720. Subtract 607 from both sides. So I end up with angle A being equal to 720 minus 607, which is 113 degrees. Okay, so the last angle on this hexagon is 113 degrees. Okay, check out example 2. Now we're talking about pentagons. Remember, a pentagon has 5 sides. First, we're asking for the sum of the interior angles. Okay, that was the first formula again. The sum of the interior angles is equal to n minus 2 times 180. Well, if this is a pentagon, pentagon has 5 sides. That would be 5 minus 2 times 180. 5 minus 2 is just 3. So on a calculator, do 3 times 180. You should get 540. So that's going to be the sum of all the interior angles. Okay, the sum of the exterior angles is the same for any convex polygon. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's a pentagon or a hexagon or an octagon. The sum of the exterior angles is going to be 360 degrees. Okay, and then I've got to use the other formulas. I want to find the measure of one interior angle. So I know the sum of the interior angles. If I only want one, then I take all the interior angles and divide by how many there are. With a pentagon, there are 5. So 540 divided by 5, I'd probably need a calculator for that. You get 108. Okay, so each angle on a pentagon is 108. For the exterior angles, though, you would take the sum of the exterior angles and divide by how many exterior angles there are. So the sum of exterior angles was 360, and divide that by 5. I believe you get 72 degrees. Okay, so every single exterior angle for a regular pentagon would be 72 degrees. Okay, the last example here is for an octagon. An octagon has 8 sides. Okay, so first I want to find the sum of the interior angles. That formula was n minus 2 times 180. If we're talking about an octagon, then n is 8, because octagon has 8 sides. So 8 minus 2 times 180. I know that 8 minus 2 is 6. So then this is what I need to calculate for. 6 times 180 is 1080. So the sum of the interior angles is 1080. The sum of the exterior angles for any convex polygon is always 360. Okay, so it doesn't even matter that it's an octagon. 360 is the result. And then the measure of one interior angle, remember for one interior angle, we take the sum of the interior angles and divide it by how many interior angles there are. So divided by 8 for an octagon. Okay, 1080 divided by 8 is 135. So each interior angle is 135 degrees. And then the last part, the measure of one exterior angle, you would take the sum of the exterior angles and divide it by how many exterior angles there are. So 360 divided by 8 angles should end up with 45 degrees. Okay, so each exterior angle in a regular octagon, 45 degrees. Okay, so that's the basics of finding the angles on polygons. You should be able to find any interior and exterior angle and any regular polygon.